Jerry? Okay. It's on.
All right, thank you. Looking for a motion that we only discussed what was scheduled in closed session at this point. Have a motion? Have a motion, second? Okay. Roll call for that, please, Charity.
Director Costello? Aye. Director Trent?
Aye.
Patrick? Aye. Vice Chairman Metz?
Aye.
And Chairman Booth?
Aye.
Okay, we are back in regular session.
I think we had discussed a motion to allow Tim and/or Alan to engage in discussions with the prospect. Such.
So we made a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Motion, I wrote down here, is to EDA representative to go back to negotiate a deal with the prospect in closed session. Is that good? Director Costello? Aye. Director Patrick? Aye. Vice Chairman Metz? And Chairman Booth?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you. No items on the agenda for new business currently. Moves us down to unfinished business. And that's related to the BMP pond, its capacity, and kind of moving into the new stormwater regulations. And Ellen, thank you for joining us. As we discussed at our September meeting, as many of you are aware, the BMP pond and the sale of credits for that was previously sold to Bob Moses and the Fountains Development under the previous stormwater ordinances. And Ellen had worked up, based upon the current regulations, capacities that the pond had. And at this point, there are no pending sales of credits, but we wanted to try to be in a position to identify those costs should those pending sales come up as available options. At our September meeting, we had discussed the opportunity, and so everything's priced around phosphorus removal per year, and we have a capacity of just over 25 pounds of phosphorus removal a year. There was a proposed cost that was thrown out at that point of $40,500 per pound of phosphorus removal per year. Ellen, through some of her research, had identified that the state average was running somewhere in the $50,000 per pound of phosphorus. Wanted to try to come up with some pricing structure so that we can quote that as potential developers are here. Wanted to certainly allow Ellen to give any introduction to this if there's something that's of value to you, or us to ask questions of Ellen if there's questions that we.
I wrote down a couple notes based on the minutes from the last meeting. I'm sorry I missed that meeting. Had a conflict. Basically what you have is you have a pond that's about 14 years old, and it was designed under old design standards. It provides both flood control and water quality treatment. So the pond serves two functions. It is a participation pond, and what that means is in order to use it, a developer's site has to physically be able to drain to the pond. What has happened since the pond was constructed is they have developed an off-site credit option for developers who are looking to buy stormwater management. On the positive side, if someone can drain their stormwater to your pond, they can get participation credit for 100% of their site. And if someone has a larger development and is buying off-site credits, they may still have to provide some on-site treatment. They can only buy, say, 50% of the amount of credit they need. The bad side is they have other options in terms of treatment that we don't have with a pond, and some of their prices are a little bit cheaper. For example, we've had developers look into the pond, a treatment credit bank in New Kent County, and the cost there running $16,000 to $18,000 a pond to per pound per year. So just be aware that that option is out there for developers as well. There were a couple questions in the last set of minutes. One of them was about pond overflows. As I said, the pond is designed for both water quality treatment and for flood control. And while the water quality treatment standards have changed, physics is basically the same. We still have a great deal of flood control capacity in the pond. So in terms of overflows, the pond is designed to handle a storm, a very intense, high-volume rainstorm, or the entire contributing drainage area when it is developed. So it's designed to handle a very high volume, and it is designed to have that water sit in the pond and be released slowly with an air space above it. So there's a foot or two of freeboard, or basically margin for error there. That doesn't mean a stormwater pond will never overflow. A good example of that happening was during Hurricane Isabel. There was a pond in Newport News that overflowed. At that time, it would be such a severe storm, it would be God, and a phosphorus release at that time would not cause any penalty or create an issue. In terms of the pricing strategy, there was a question at the last set of minutes about looking at flow for having someone purchase flood control and using a flow ratio. My suggestion to you is, if you would like to sell a credit for just storm water quantity, just flood control, instead of water quality control, that you do that the way you're doing it now, based on drainage area. That's the simplest calculation. Bookkeeping. Flow is dependent on a bunch of different variables, and it also depends on where you're going to measure flow. If it's at the edge of the developed property, I think you're going to find that drainage areas, contributing drainage area with a certain maximum threshold for impervious area, would be the more straightforward approach for that. I think I've pretty much given you the information that I have, but I'm here to answer questions.
Any questions of Ellen at this point?
So basically, the credit bank for people to everything from carbon to phosphorus.
Right.
That does not have a local information. Companies that have contributed to that, so you can basically let it go down the drain wherever it goes, right? And then you buy your offsets for what you know.
Well, but that's why the state requires that a developer half on site and half.
That's where I was
Yeah,
going. Is there a state requirement? Because I know it's cheaper to do it when you got a lot
This is
of contributors.
yes, this is a state and actually a Chesapeake Bay program preferred strategy to have the option of off-site nutrient credit trading. There are different types of banks and different type of credit trading programs depending what's causing the pollution. So the type you wouldn't, so the same bank that has the phosphorus removal wouldn't have that carbon.
Right, exactly.
What is available for stormwater quality trading is generally, it has to be upstream of the site, so you can't have it downstream. So you have to have that treatment going on upstream of where you're building, so you're not sending a slug of dirty water downstream. And the other thing, you have to provide some minimum amount of treatment on site for local water quality. And it has to be approved by the state. The reason a lot of the commercial banks are a lot cheaper, they have the option of doing agricultural farm conversion. So basically, they've taken what was actual farmland and they've put it in a permanent conservation easement. And in doing so, they're not creating that yearly phosphorus load they used to.
A state requirement to do
If you're on a larger site, if you're less than an acre, they kind of give you a break and let you buy all your credits. But if you're above an acre of development, in that particular case, you have to do some water quality treatment on site, but you have the option of making up the difference.
So how do the pricing structure work? I'm not hearing variance in pricing from 15 or 16. Where do we fit in that in terms of what we should be charging now in this market, given the other options that are available? I see the recommendation,
It would.
It just sounds like to me that,
It
may seem
depends.
unreasonable to a builder.
It depends on your goal. If you're buying something from a nutrient credit trading bank, you still have to provide flood control. So you're not getting off scot-free in terms, or you're not getting all of your stormwater treatment for that $16,000 to $18,000. You're getting part of it. I don't even want to hazard a percentage of what the total cost. So you still have to use up your own land, provide some sort of quantity or flood control. So obviously that developer who has to provide the flood control on this property has the opportunity cost of using his land for some other purpose.
Yeah, I don't mean to bore everybody with my questions. I'm just trying to understand from a builder's perspective, if they're looking to build and do something, if this becomes the hitch in the gun along, and they're like, oh my goodness, it's so much to process this. I'd rather go here. I just didn't know.
I guess as I see it, the advantage of someone purchasing credits from our pond eliminates the need for them to do it on their property, thus allowing them more developable area within whatever the acreage is, as long as they can get the water there.
I get that. I was just seeing what cost-wise, if it all of a sudden becomes a preclusion to even building because of just the cost of space.
Also remember, the cost, the price comes down to what your goals are, obviously. And my only I'm getting technical information, but the only recommendation I can make in terms of the switch on technical areas, I would suggest you look at who can possibly participate in the pond. Once again, they have to be able to physically drain the pond because it is not a credit trading bank. So, and what are your goals for that particular portion of the city? And what I'm talking about there is if Alpha Street were extended, those properties could possibly drain there, that corner of Victory Boulevard and With Creek Road, a city road could use it for drainage or for treatment someday, and the land that's immediately surrounding it. If it's separated by the ditch, if it's on the other side of With Creek Road, it's probably not going to reach that.
The development on the other side of the canal, you're not going to.
That's what I was trying to understand. How many?
Think about that. Like I said, that corner of the city is what could participate in this pond. And the pricing strategy would likely depend on goals for that area.
Got it.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, the pounds per phosphorus removal is going to net a much smaller area of development before those are sold out than the drainage per acre of the drainage coming to the pond, just based on the change in the requirements there. So at the end of the day, while the pond was designed to currently 32 acres remaining that can drain there, is going to be something significantly less than 32 acres on the phosphorus side of that. And that's why we were talking about the possibility of having a quality phosphorus removal value, selling those credits, and then have an alternate funding stream over and above the phosphorus removal. It could be additional flood control for some of those 32 acres that would go there. So as a project got logged to take opportunity out of the pond, it would have a phosphorus removal and an acreage drainage, and so those numbers would incrementally decrease until we sold those capacities. The reality is we may sell the phosphorus and only have drained 15 acres, I'm making up a number, and still having another 16 or 18 acres that can go there.
Well, there's some costs involved. Obviously, the city's mowing the grass and maintaining it, and there may be some future work. A couple of years ago, I talked to the EDA at that time. There is a seep through the dam. It's not an immediate crisis, but at some point, as you start getting more people using the pond, you would need to get a geotechnical expert out there to look at, maybe upgrade the dam a little bit. It's not, an immediate danger or threat, but it's something you would do just to maintain stability. After a while, under the new Bay TMDL rule, ponds start losing, they have a warranty. They have an expiration date. And at some point, we may have to come in and upgrade the pond. It wouldn't affect, they don't go back and say, okay, everybody draining into it, you need to you need to do something else for your stormwater. That's not what happens. What happens is the city has to stop counting it toward their Bay TMDL goals. They have to come up with the phosphorus rating for that pond a different way. So it wouldn't affect the EDA or the developers directly, but it would have an impact. But that is years from now.
At this point, we're trying to basically try to set some pricing so we can go back out to the market. This opportunity is available. And all the numbers that have been generated here have been based upon cost incurred between the property, some allowance for maintenance over the years of the pond. So that's kind of where the pricing structure was factored in a lot of long-term holding costs. That's kind of an unknown. And again, with each of these agreements for selling credits, we have a maintenance, annual maintenance expense as well that is shared between the.
This is something that can be revisited, right?
Correct.
You make a decision and you're stuck.
Development that's currently coming through the city is going to meet the capacity of the
I'm not aware of any discussions that anything in the Big Woods is currently interested in using any of our capacity. Obviously, Bob Moses and the fountains was the first.
got stages 2 and 3 coming down the pike.
Which there's been no discussions to date with us for future phases. He purchased his. We do need to set a pricing structure so that if he does approach us. At this point, are we, I guess, most interested in probably setting the quality, the phosphorus removal side of this? Are we comfortable with the 40,500? Do we need to bump that round number or offer some future holding cost with that?
Yeah, I support the recommendation. I mean, I obviously as much as you can, but I think we've heard that the market may not support getting to, this may be too aggressive, so I feel like, this at least recoups our initial investment, which was our primary goal, and if plan is too aggressive, we can revisit it. If the market changes, we can always up our price.
And at this point, is there any need to address flood control as a separate pricing structure? Or are we going to basically sell quantity, and with that, they get the flood control benefits, and then at some point, to get close on the quality, the phosphorus removal, then we can possibly have some alternatives for additional flood control.
Yeah, I guess, just thinking out loud, Donald, so if they were going, they are going to do something on site as opposed to deal with us, that would likely cover quality and quantity. So if they want, and their option to go off-site is one of these banks and buy cheap phosphorus removal credit, not going to address quantity, it's just quality. So my short of all that rambling is that I feel like we are, if we're selling them, for a strong price, $40,500, nutrient removal quality credit, they ought to get the quantity with it. Unless, there's, I'm missing something in the economics of that decision. And then, once we run out of quality, availability, quantity credits, because that's all we have left, and then maybe some back to the off-site and buy some. I guess what my point I'm getting is that I think if we jack this 40,500 up to sell them quality, it sounded like we might be pushing envelope on what the cost-benefit analysis of going with us versus doing something.
So then, someone willing to kind of set a motion for following the recommendation, we're going to sell it on a quality basis?
Proceed as proposed in the memorandum, defer pricing and quantity until we run out of quality credit or circumstances change.
Quantity, do it on a quantity basis until quality.
I thought it was quality.
Motion to approve the recommendation in the memorandum.
Okay.
Have a second for that? So, in a second, if we can get a roll call for that.
Director Costello. Director Trant.
Aye.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Matt, and Chairman Lee.
Aye. Thank you.
Do we have any other voting items? Thank you, Ms.
Probably if we can jump down to the teen center maintenance and engage that discussion, if that's fair. Okay. Would you like to?
Yeah, I'll be happy to introduce the topic, Mr. Chairman. I've got a brief staff report with this, and I'll read from loosely. As the authority is aware, the teen center located at 962 Poquoson Avenue currently resides in the Economic Development Authority's property inventory. Building has a long history of uses. They're listed there for you. Knights of Pythias Hall, city's teen center, has also served community groups in the past. Given the building's age and the multiple uses it's supported, it's not surprising now that it shows significant signs of wear and tear. Last week, staff, and when I say staff, I mean Ann here, Ann Payne with the Building Inspections Office, Ann addressed for us a time-sensitive roof and ceiling repair near the front entrance. In anticipation of other short-term and long-term expected maintenance requirements for the facility, I had asked Debbie and Community Development, of course, and Ann, if they wouldn't mind taking a look at the facility and giving the EDA a report of its current condition and what you can expect in the future as far as maintenance needs. And with that, I will get out of the way and ask Ann to speak to this, please.
All right. I mean, just to kind of give you guys a heads up, in the one house right today, we did the emergency repair. We do not have the, the funds or staff to take over that building. But, we were happy to take a look at it. We did do the roof repair. That was the kind of emergency leak. There was a hole in the roof and it collapsed the drywall inside, but it's fixed. As you guys know, there's 2 spots on the back of the building where the roof has got some issues. I would definitely recommend addressing those because it's only going to get worse. The HVAC unit, there's an outdoor package unit, Rock Island on the left side of the building. It's not that old, it's about 6 years old. I had a contractor come over and look at it with me and go, and asked them to make recommendations and give me an estimate for you guys for repairs. But they did find that there's a collapsed ductwork in there that needs to be replaced, and the rain shield for the unit, that needs to be repaired, and I'll give you guys. That he included his cost with that. Also, I asked him to provide you all with a maintenance cost, and a kind of a scope of work of what he would need to do on any piece of equipment. So I've included that in here as well. I'll give that to you guys. And then some other things on the building, little things from changing the air filters. That's an easy thing to do, and it can really lengthen the life of your equipment. Clearing the roof of the debris, and there's like limbs, lots of straw up there. It just all holds moisture up. Plus, it's all over the walkway, which makes it like an ice skating rink. So definitely maintaining that. Inside the building, there's another area with water damage. The roof of that location does not show signs of, I don't know if that's an old leak or what. My first time. There is fascia is missing near the roof leaks, allowing like vermin and stuff to get in, and moisture. Insulation is exposed, so obviously the moisture is getting on that and sucked inward. Also, all of the wood trim on the building is rotting, and the doors are not sealed up. So there's just a lot of opportunity for the moisture intrusion into that building. I would seriously recommend you all go over and take a look at the building.
Thank you so much. And I don't carry it. Actually, I do carry a tool belt in my truck, but so I was trying to get. We're not in a property management business, so what is that? Where are we going? You're with building and maintenance for the city.
I maintain, the buildings that are critical to the city, like City Hall.
Yes, ma'am. So, we only get the money that the city gives us, so telling us we need to make it, I get it, but we can't do that without the city's help and support. So, is the city want to take over the maintenance of this building?
No.
I talked to the city. And if not, throwing it in our lap doesn't even make any sense, because they provide our budget, and so all we can do is let it fall down or sell it. So I guess.
So are you telling us it's unsafe for the current occupants to use the building?
They can use it right now, but like anything, it's rotting away. On anything, whether it's your home or, or building, like it needs to be maintained. Possibly, I know, you have got the wrestling team, they use it from November to March. I know that they pay the utilities, but, there is potential for renting it for use instead of just, doing that. A building needs to be maintained. Yeah.
So, but you're not saying that it is currently unsafe for the rest of us to use that?
No, they can use it, but it's just, it's just going to keep rotting.
So what do we do? As it comes down to.
Well, there's probably a couple things. We can put an annual budget request in for some funds, do a maintenance contract, or it's administered through city staff.
I think that's what we do. I think this is, we've all talked about disposal of it, but we have not been able to find an end user, a tenant, or a person to purchase it for anything that was in the realm of being acceptable to us or council. So the bottom line is we're stuck with it for now. It is right, wrong, or different. It's a pretty valuable community asset. I mean, lots of groups, as you point in your staff report, use it and make good use of it. I mean, it's a big help. Sports program, supporting the wrestling program. So, I mean, I think we all just, including the city, needs to recognize what's really going on. It's easy to say, hey, it's falling down, EDA deal with it, but that doesn't solve the problem. I mean, that's not really that's not recognized reality. Bottom line is, you know, the city, the EDA, we all own this building, and until a higher and better use and disposition strategy comes along, we collectively need to take care of it. And I think the city needs to provide that support so that we can do that. If they're not willing to do that, then all we can do is shut it down.
Yep.
Sell it. I don't think they're really going to take that idea either.
Sure. You know, to answer your original question, Tim, the intent to request community development building inspection to bring, for lack of a better term, a laundry list of challenges with the facility was more to inform and provide some clarification of what's actually happening there, and to, at the EDA's discretion, catalyze some discussion about near-term desires and also long-term, and to perhaps develop a strategy for what to handle the maintenance of that, whatever that may be, or if there's an interest in selling it as is, as a residential, because that's how it's zoned. And I'm not recommending any of those items. I'm just saying this type of thing was brought forward, and I had asked Ann to do it just to catalyze this conversation. I don't know that, and again, deferring to the EDA, I'm not sure that a field trip as part of a public meeting for all the EDA, if you haven't been in the building, just take a look at it. It might not be a bad idea, so you can kind of kick the tires on it and see what's there and what it looks like and how it's used, and uses for it in the future. But I think, mindful of the fact the EDA's limited budget resources, completely understand your point in that regard. It's getting better, not worse, and we thought it certainly was incumbent upon us just to bring it forth for your attention.
Here's my recommendation, which I'm happy to make a motion. I recommend that we ask the city to take over maintenance and perform the repairs, or allocate the money for us to go hire and do it. I think it'd be cheaper for them to absorb it into their regular maintenance routine than it would be for us to go buy it. But whatever they want to do, I'm happy to do that. If not, after this season, we shut down the building and sell it, and nobody uses it or occupies it until it's disposed of.
One other thing, stating the obvious maybe, but if the wrestling team or whoever else is using it for free, I don't know if they have some ability to patch some of this stuff together. Yeah.
Well,
Basically.
I can tell you that year over year, there's been numerous improvements made as the use of the facility has occurred. Everything from painting and sealing up of windows and water fountain and numerous other things that have happened. Obviously, there's
Saying that like y'all owe it, it's more like if it doesn't get done, the
Right.
building's
that's right.
going to be shut down. You know, we're kind of running out of options here.
One of the things that Ann said that is of concern was you did pine needles in the walkway to basically create an ice skating rink. I mean, that's a very simple fix.
And we take care of that every
And the
year. We
roof
clean it up.
cleaning off is a very simple fix.
And we've been fortunate in having the Kiwanis, the city worked with the Kiwanis for community group cleaning, which was very substantial and improved it greatly. But I think over time that will become, as Katie cited, an issue again.
Well, so it sounds like the takeaway, and maybe it's not an action item for today, is that we need to engage council in a dialogue for either appropriating some budget update and bring it up to an average condition, minimum maintenance or disposition funds if part of the hurdle of getting this off of our rolls is the fact that someone's got to incur the cost of getting rid of a building, then maybe we need to ask for the capital cost to get rid of the building if it doesn't need for the city. As far as those discussions are, you just got to sit down and have them, I think. Two sides and a middle ground in between, but not being in control of the purse strings, discussion goes on.
Fully aware of everything that goes on. Is it principally a community center activity?
Not really, because it's not really conducive to a lot of public use. A directed use like this is appropriate, but it would need some work to be of the same type of use as the Odd Road Community Center. But it certainly does provide, and has, again, as I outlined in the staff report, it's been a community asset in the past for Poquoson Island players, obviously for the wrestling group now, prior to that as a teen center for the city. So it's been around a long time. It's just simply a matter of the fact that maintenance is starting to come, time-sensitive and issue. And again, understanding and mindful of the EDA's current budget, and as Tim pointed out, other than the bond issue and what the city provides as a budget, there doesn't seem to be a huge infusion of dollars coming into that budget. So we were just making the EDA aware of the current state of the building and where it's headed. And obviously, I think everybody would like to address it proactively, but in order to do so, we wanted to give you the information so the discussions can take place.
If you guys have time too, we can do a quick, I mean, it's definitely, I would recommend putting your eyes on it so you guys can actually see what it's like on the inside.
Probably arrange that as a separate
Yeah.
opportunity.
Pretty recent.
So I think, we're done voting, because
Yeah. I think in the interest of time, we can
Thank you.
postpone, thank you.
And thank you.
We can
Thanks, Ann.
postpone discussion on the remainder of the unfinished business. I guess of value is the December 5th is our next scheduled meeting back here at 8:30. And is there anything in staff activities that's an absolute must?
I don't think there's an absolute must on the schedule other than the meeting date. We'll be happy to make a report in December.
All right. So then with that, we can adjourn.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.